Order of the Pleasant Grove City Council on this Tuesday, March the 16th, 2021. And we welcome all of our council members are here present this evening, and most of our staff is with us also. And we have a few of our general public here with us too. We welcome you all to this. I'm Mayor Guy Fugel, and I'll be conducting the meeting this evening. We'll start out with the Pledge of Allegiance by our Recreation Director, Wilkins, and after which our opening remarks will be given by Councilmember Anderson.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our dear Father in heaven, we're very grateful for this opportunity that we have to gather as staff and elected officials, and we're grateful for this great city that we live in. We're grateful for those who work for the citizens here, and especially those who keep us safe. A special blessing on them at this time as they are working so hard. We're grateful for the freedoms that we enjoy. We ask now that as a council and mayor that we will be inspired to make those decisions that will be best for Pleasant Grove in the long run. And we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Next, item on our thank you for both of you for that. Our next item number 4, approval of tonight's meeting agenda, and I think we only have one item that will be continued. You want to talk about that, Scott?
Yeah, we need to continue item 10D. D as in dog. That is our interlocal agreement with the county for them to handle our elections. They are doubling the price on us, and so we're gonna, before we recommend you signing that, we want to see if we can figure out a different way to tackle this one. So we're working with the other cities in Utah County. They have the same concerns, and we'll see if anything can be done. I don't know if there is anything that can be done, but we're going to explore that for a couple weeks. So if we just continue that to the 30th of March, hopefully we'll have some more information at that point.
Okay, thank you. That's the only change we have for this evening, so I ask for approval of tonight's meeting agenda with a motion.
Mayor, I make a motion to approve tonight's agenda with said changes to 10D, moved to March 30th.
A motion by Councilmember Jensen. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Williams. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Now move on to our item number 5, our open session, and invite anyone who would like to come forward at this time and address the council to do so at this time. I see no one approaching the podium, so we will now close our open session and bring it back up here and move on to item number 6. Our consent items this evening are our city council minutes A and B to consider for approval change order number 2, partial payment request number 3 to Granite Construction Companies for the 115 through 7th South Overlay Project, and to consider for approval change order number 2 and payment request for number 4 for the JLR contractors for the Veterans Memorial Pickleball Court, and D, to consider for approval of the payment approval report for March the 11th, 2021. So with those, I ask for a motion for these consent items.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve the consent items.
A motion by Councilmember Anderson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Bullock. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Now, we do not have any item 7 this evening of board, commission, and committee appointments, or 8 presentations, or no public hearings this night, item 9. So we'll move directly to item number 10A for our action items this evening. And 1A is to consider for awarding J. Lynn Roberts and Sons Discovery Park Tennis Court Rehab Project bid in the amount of $186,512, and authorize the mayor to sign the notice of award and authorize the mayor to sign the notice to proceed an agreement upon receipt and approval of the final contract documents. Presenter will be our,
It's going to
you,
be Marty, but I'm going to give a little preamble, if
okay.
that's okay.
All right.
So this is to build 2 new tennis courts out at Discovery Park. The 2 courts that are to the north side there would be the 2 that we would do with this, what you have in front of you. And I'm going to talk through this, and Sid, you can jump in if I start talking through this the wrong way. But so before our retreat, Sid and I had sat down, we went over the agenda, and one of the things that was discussed between her and I was potentially having the city consider doing all 6 courts at one time, and just not the 2 courts, but doing all 6. And then with the idea that 4 of them would be tennis courts, and then maybe the last set could be changed into pickleball courts. So we could have 4 tennis courts and then maybe 6 pickleball courts, kind of repurpose the other set. So at the time that we had that discussion, and I talked about it briefly in the retreat, and part of it was we didn't have our bid yet, so we didn't know what the number was on that. And that as we got our numbers, then we could bring that back to you to have a consideration from the city council in order to do all of them at the same time. Now, we're not going to be talking budget, the capital projects, until 2 weeks from now. Today, what's in front of you is just those 2 courts. So if the council wants to consider doing all 6 at one time, we would recommend that we just pause the project and rebid all 6 in one package and build them this fall. That's one potential way to do it. 2 would be to accept the bid today, build the 2 here. They'll be done by June 1st, get those done this spring. And then if, after we have our budget meeting in 2 weeks and the council wants to fund the other courts, then the council can give that direction, and then we can get that bid, and we can probably do that in the fall. So we would get 2 new ones in the spring, 2 new ones in the fall, and 6 more pickleball courts in the fall. And we'll have those numbers for you. We'll have, contractor estimates on what that would cost when we talk about the budget here on March 30th. So those are kind of the 2 ways we could do it. But right now, we're not necessarily prepared to get nitty-gritty into the cost, other than you're going to hear, it's just going to be over $200,000 to do these 2 courts. So that you can extrapolate that out. So we're at least probably $400,000, maybe even $500,000 in to do the rest of those, if we're going to do those all at the same time. But I just wanted to lay that out because that was one of the things that came up as I was talking with Sid, and I just wanted to let you know that if the council wants to chase that, those are the options. So with that, let me have Marty explain what's in the bid in front of you today, which is actually items 10A and 10B. Because there's a change order that's also part of this, because there's some things that we'd like to do a little bit differently than from what we initially bid it. And then Marty can walk you through that, and then you can have the discussion on how you'd like to proceed with that.
Thank you. You setting your timer there, Marty, on your watch there?
No, somebody was
Okay,
calling
okay.
me, so I had to cancel that. I didn't take the call. Thought it wouldn't be a good time. All right, let's see if this will come up over there. But so we did, as you know, originally we had bid the tennis court as an additive alternate to the original bid for the pickleball courts project. And what we found was that there was some discrepancy in the bids that we received, quite a big discrepancy, and as well as the low bidder on the project was not the low bidder on the tennis courts. And so we thought, well, do we want to, do that now, or do we want to hold off on doing that? So we made the decision at that time to just hold off on the tennis courts and maybe Working with Tina, we agreed that we would rebid out the tennis courts to the original same bidders rather than going through a whole public process for that, since they'd already seen all the plans, held our pre-bid meetings, and they had, they were qualified to do the work. And so we decided to do that, so we bid that back out, and of the 4, we got 1 bid back, which just happened to be the same contractor that we originally awarded the pickleball courts to. So as you see before you tonight, the recommendation is to award the tennis courts to JLR contractors who are currently doing the pickleball courts. Are doing a great job. I don't have any concerns with them as far as work and working with us. They've been awesome. They've kept to their time frames as best as possible. A little bit of weather has held a few things up, but other than that, we've been pretty good. And just to clarify one thing with Scott, so the tennis court bid on the bid documents, so their intent is to jump, right now they're finishing the last of the pickleball courts, the post-tension concrete. That same crew would be working on the tennis courts, and as soon as they get done there this week, they're planning to jump up and start, assuming we award this tonight, they would be starting this next week as I understand it. And from the date of the notice to proceed, which would be before they start, they have 75 days to final completion. So if we're looking right now, he said June 1st, we're probably talking, first June 10th or something of that nature. But it is something that could be done potentially before Strawberry Days. They intend the surface coats and things of that nature. That's why they want to jump up there and get it done, because those guys that they're bringing in to do all the pickleball courts, they could run over and do the same stuff on the tennis courts, and that's their intent. So the first item tonight is to award that contract to JLR to move forward. As Scott said, if we decided not to move forward on this, and we could go and look at the full 6 courts, but it would have to be pushed off till later. There's no way we would get it done. We would have to go through the whole bid process to do that again. We wouldn't be able to just, at least as I understand it from Tina, she's not here to speak for herself, but because we didn't bid it in the original bid, we would have to go through the public bidding process and put it all together and put it out again as another bid project. So I think from my standpoint, as far as a recommendation to you, makes a lot of sense. Let's just get this one in the ground. It's kind of on the other side of the road. We can get everything buttoned up, and then if you guys decide that that's the right thing to do in the fall or next spring, then the other courts are torn up and you've got one to play on. So just some thoughts on that, but as far as for tonight, it would be this. Now, let me just talk through the next 2 items, and then we can decide how we go on this. So as we were finishing up the bids, or the award of the bid, we were talking with the contractor, and he came up and he said, when we do this project and what we're trying to do, and let me show you a picture of the courts. So the tennis courts, what's happening here is we're getting a nice post-tension concrete tennis court. So essentially, the outer, where the fence posts are currently located, it's not working. I'll use my mouse. It might be better to use my mouse anyways. Where the current the posts are for the fencing around the tennis courts, that's kind of its own little curb that goes all the way around the current concrete inside. And so the idea right now of the project is to rip out the entire the inside and leave all of the fencing and curbing intact. And then they will come in and do a post-tension slab 3 feet off of that existing curb all the way around, because you have to have a gap there so that you can do the post-tensioning through the concrete slab. And then they will come in with a separate slab on the outside, which will be a typical just concrete slab, all the way around 3 feet. So these will stay in great condition. Again, there's not going to be a lot of use on this other concrete slab, but it's not going to be post-tension. What the contractor said, there's 2 options here. In order to do this project, they're going to be taking down likely probably even the mesh, the netting, or the fencing all the way around, at least for a good portion, so they can get into the site and demo it, and then possibly even a little bit more. And they said, well, the reality is some of that work could be saved, and we could benefit by actually doing a well, first they said the netting, a mesh netting would be, because they would have to take it off and put it back on, you'd get a little bit of savings because they don't have to do all that labor if they just did new netting. So they gave us a quote to do new fencing on the existing posts. So exactly this project, but rather than putting on the old fencing, we would get a new fencing there. So it would look better. There would probably, as I saw it on Google, I didn't go out there and look at it today, but the old fence posts and things, some of them are maybe need to be painted. If we did that, we would probably need to repaint the posts or something like that and then put the new netting on. The cost of that, to do that was $11,856. So that would be a 10-foot new fence around the outside of that existing, or of the new pickleball courts, but you wouldn't get new curbing and you'd have it exactly like this. The next option was to just say, what if we, rather than try to save anything, we just demoed the whole thing and brought in new post-tension concrete. We'll put the fence posts right in the post-tension concrete. You don't have this little 3-foot concrete slab around the post-tension concrete, brand new fencing, gates, everything. And so the cost to do that was a total of $25,156 with a little bit of play there on the landscaping, because when they do that, they're going to affect some of the landscaping on the outside of that fence. But they didn't. That's not a big thing, but that's included in that cost. And so the question is, we wanted to award the original project and make sure that we move on that, but we wanted to give you guys the option to consider two options, either just replacing all the fencing around or just getting it all done. And so those are the costs. Again, $11,856 would be to just do the fencing. The $25,156 is to just everything brand new and tied back in. And obviously a lot better product in the end. It's going to look brand new, but it's going to cost an extra $25,000, which is about 15% more than our current $186,000. I didn't do the exact numbers, but you know, it's just it's about 15 to 20% more than our original bid.
Can I just ask a question, Marty?
Yeah.
So if we do option number one and we have this 3-foot kind of apron, that will be susceptible to cracking in the future because it will not be post-tension.
Yes, it would be just like any other slab, driveway, sidewalk type of.
And if we do option two and redo everything, the whole thing will be post-tension. We shouldn't have any cracking anywhere on the surface.
That's the idea.
We hope. I'd
Yeah.
like to see
I mean,
concrete that's never
can,
cracks,
but-
but anyway.
Post-tension's pretty good.
Post-tension's pretty good, but there's no guarantees, but there's not a lot of weight on these, so they usually last a long time.
Council, I'll open it up to all of you to shoot some questions at Marty or discuss with each other.
Mayor, I have a question.
Yes, no, you don't have to ask.
Oh, sorry.
It's opened up.
Okay. When you say everything, is that including lights?
No,
Okay.
the lighting would stay.
It would work around the lights and pour the concrete, the post-tension, everything? Okay.
That is correct.
So the lights would stay and not be removed, and
That's correct.
Because it's pretty cracked around it, right? And so,
so you're
Well-
on the, oh, sorry.
They would be repaired enough. I mean, so most of the lighting is on the outside, and then you have a couple in the middle, if I remember correctly, on that. But the ones in the middle, you're worried that they're going to be visible. And I don't know, there may be an opportunity to get those down to grade so that they aren't an eyesore and finish the concrete, so it's nice. I'm sure that's what we'd be trying to do for sure, so.
So Sid, were you on the committee? Oh, you weren't on the committee. Oh, was there someone that was on the, I thought maybe there was some,
I don't think we had a committee.
oh, okay.
This is not the.
We're the committee. What do you want to do?
Oh, maybe I misunderstood Scott when Scott pointed out to Sid. I apologize.
No, there wasn't a committee. This was just a discussion Sid and I had since she wasn't able to be at the retreat.
Oh, okay, that's what it was. Okay.
So Eric, these don't look like they've got posts coming up. They're kind of poured in the concrete. So those would still be the same. These other ones are all on the outside of the curbing, so those would probably remain outside of the concrete post tension on both sides, because these other ones here are actually in the sidewalk here. That sidewalk would remain along this side. That wouldn't be removed likely unless there was an elevation issue or something.
So that would be with them moving that curb wall and redoing all the The posts
Essentially,
then?
everything but the lights would be brand new.
Okay.
For that additional 25,000. If we're going to, again, we can do exactly what we're gonna do, but just replace the fencing fabric. Everything's the same, we'll just put a new fence around it. That was the 11,856 or something.
I'm not necessarily opposed to the old fence, but I am opposed to the post-tension gap in the 3-foot window. So for the other 14 grand, I think I'd rather have it all.
I would
right?
too.
That makes, to me, it makes a lot more sense. One question I had though, Marty, is we're gonna stripe this for bring your own net pickleball, right?
Not these ones.
Yeah, our intention was to keep this tennis only.
Do we
It-
wanna just stripe it for pickleball? I mean,
Well,
that doesn't hurt, right? As a tennis
Are the
player
other
and a pickleball player, I don't
already
care.
striped for pickleball? I couldn't
The
remember, I
middle
thought you
arc
said
is
they
striped
were.
for pickleball right now.
Are the other two
the
courts
middle
striped for
courts are
pickleball?
redone. Those are striped.
It's the middle ones that are,
What the concern was is that if we stripe these, then tennis players will now be down to only 2 courts, the 2 courts on the south end that are in poor condition, because these 2 middle courts are currently striped for pickleball and tennis. So if you stripe the other ones, then you're only down to 2 tennis courts really in the city that people could use, and those 2 on the south end are the ones in poor condition.
But as a tennis player, I'd play on a court that's striped for pickleball.
But the problem is that the pickleball players get to them first. They're not even gonna have
They
a chance.
take them up all the time. I think that's, so you got 2 dedicated
Just for tennis?
just for tennis.
I guess the question is tennis on its way out?
I think there's still a lot of, oh, go ahead, Brent.
living next door to that, I seldom see anybody playing tennis, but I do see them playing pickleball in that center court. And,
Yeah,
those-
that's striped for
Yeah,
for
and
pickleball.
that one that's closest to my property, seldom do I see anybody playing tennis in there.
Tyler?
Right now, just one of those courts in the middle is striped on each side of the net, so that the one to the left in your picture has the.
Pickleball.
Both of those have.
Right.
So out of the 6 courts, only 1 right now is striped for pickleball. And it can have 2 different games going on
On one
one
court.
court because of how it's striped. Is that right, Tyler?
Sorry, I had that wrong. Thanks, Tyler.
And I would, if I could just put in a plea, tennis maybe is a sport that isn't as popular as it used to be, but if we stripe that for pickleball, the pickleballers will be on there and the tennis players won't have a place to play. And we're building 8 brand-new pickleball courts. And if, as we proceed along with what we're gonna do with these 4 courts here, we could easily turn one of these into maybe 6 more pickleball courts. So I would hope the tennis players have a place for them, because I think it could be overrun.
So then my recommendation, Mayor, would be, that sounds fine. Let's do the 2 on the north as tennis only. But I would love to move quickly on a bid to redo the 4 tennis courts to the south and make those, and redo those as tennis/pickleball, or 8 new pickleball courts.
Okay, that's,
Sid, what are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I mean, I don't like to do a project halfway, and I think if we're going to already do the 2 on the north end, it would just make sense to complete the project. And I think it would, anytime we can do an amenity in our city that gets people outdoors, playing outside, getting them outside and keeping them in our city, I think it's worth the investment. And I think it would be money well spent for our community.
okay, just, we have one slight problem. The other 3 aren't funded
I
yet.
know.
And so.
The other
if you-
4.
You can reject these bids tonight, and we'll start all over again.
No, my
Okay,
take is,
all right.
my take is let's fund the 186,512, redo those on the north, and then in 2 weeks when we talk about a budget. our
We'll
budget
have numbers
situation.
for you,
So
and
not,
then
so
you
you're
can,
just saying the original bid,
Let's
with
keep
not
that.
the post-tension, we don't want to do the 25,000, you just want to do.
No,
No.
we
No,
wanna
no,
do
the
that.
whole thing.
We want
Okay.
The whole
So that's-
thing.
We want
that's
the whole
plus
banana.
25, so you got to go to the 211 is with the change order, so just understand that.
Oh, A and B.
You said 186.
Sorry,
And I
sorry.
said,
I just read it off the agenda.
we're at 211.
Yeah.
With
If-
the
if we
And there'll
take
be
A-
two different motions.
Yeah, if we take A and B and approve
Okay.
both of those, we'll get the ones on the north done, and then we'll look at redoing the ones on the south as quickly as possible. That's my advice, Mayor.
Okay.
And Marty, how old are these courts?
You're asking the wrong person.
28? I think if we're gonna do them, we need to do them right.
Yeah.
Even if it's.
What happens with that fence is that they climb up over the fence, and it's become an interesting thing to observe that. Oh, yeah, there's a whole bunch of people who climb over the fence, including adults.
So would the fencing be black vinyl like it is now, or would it be, okay?
Should we put some Constantina wire on top of that now to
Guard tower, put a guard tower,
Guard towers and
razor blade wire?
razor
two
wire.
council members are awful quiet over here. You guys speak up a little bit.
I say do it right with that second option you're talking about, and then we can talk about the cost of the other ones.
I would agree.
One, I would love to know if the legality of adding the rest of the project,
That's the problem we have. We can't do it legally.
so we know for sure that
Well,
we can't.
we run into, Scott, you want to address
Well,
it?
when we've talked about this in the past, so we're awarding a bid for 200,000 and then we do a change order for 450,000.
Yeah.
That makes Tina a little nervous that.
Okay. Well, I would love to know the legality of it, but I also would love to know the timeline, because if we're already mobilizing, I think we would save money.
Yeah, and Marty and I talked about this. The feeling is if we're gonna bid, so 4 courts at one time and do them in the fall, we'll get a better price than doing a change order today.
Got it.
So we feel like it's probably will serve us better. Now we're gonna have to wait for a few more months before they're put in. But we think at the end of the day, we'll probably save money as opposed to doing a change order today.
Okay.
Any other questions for Marty? Okay, thank you, Marty. With that, I'd ask for a motion for 10A.
Mayor, can I just say on 10B, can you make sure you make the recommendation for the full court replacement so that we have that on record?
I think, isn't it 2 motions we have to do?
Yes. I'm
Yeah,
just
so
saying
we'll
on
get
10B,
in
make
that.
sure that it
We'll do-
includes.
we'll
the
make
full-
sure
I
that's
gave you
the-
2 options.
That's the 25,000.
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to award J. Lynn Roberts and Sons the Discovery Park Tennis Court Rehab Project bid in the amount of $186,512, and authorize the mayor to sign a notice of award, authorize the mayor to sign the notice to proceed, and the agreement upon receipt and approve of the final contract documents.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Williams. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Bullock. And all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Now we'll go to 10B, to consider for approval change order number 1 of J. Lynn Roberts and Sons for the Discovery Park Tennis Court Rehab Project. And as Marty has outlined it, so I'd ask for a motion for the first change order before we even award it, which is changing the price to 25,000.
Increasing.
Okay. So we've made that noted, so I ask for a motion.
Make a motion to consider for approval, change order number 1 in the amount of $25,186 for J. Lynn Roberts and Son for the Discovery Park.
We have a
Tennis
motion
court.
by Councilmember Bullock. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Jensen. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Now I'll move to item 10C, to consider for adoption Resolution 2021-08, authorize the mayor to enter into and sign an amendment number 2 for the ground lease agreement between Pleasant Grove City and Bernard PG LLC, Montana, the limited liability company, to extend the term of the general lease agreement for an additional 3 years for real property located approximately 800 north, 600 west in Pleasant Grove and provide for an effective date. Director, oh, Scott, it's
Yeah,
you. That's you
that's
this
me.
time. Okay.
Usually don't hear this much from me in a council meeting, but when we bought the pipe plant property from a company, Barnard Construction in Montana, they asked that they wanted to lease back a section of this for them to store equipment. And so they've been doing that from us for quite a few years. The lease is set to expire at the end of June. They're asking for a 3-year extension on the lease. We told them that was okay as long as we have an out, so that if we choose to develop the pipe plant here in the next year, 2 or 3, that we, before the lease is up, that we can give them a certain amount of notice. And then they would move all their stuff off so that we can build what we need to build. So we landed on 4.5 months, 135 days. And so on the agreement, we added a termination clause, number 3, that the tenant acknowledges that the city may terminate the ground lease upon 135 days written notice to the tenant. So that gives us an ability to ask them to move their stuff before we develop it. So this is amending the lease and extending it for 3 years with the new out clause in there.
Any questions for Scott? If not, thanks, Scott. I ask for a motion for 10C.
Mayor, I make a motion for adoption of Resolution 2021-8, authorizing the mayor enter into and sign amendment number 2 to a ground lease agreement between Pleasant Grove City and Menard PG LLC, a Montana limited liability company, to extend the term of the ground lease agreement for an additional 3 years for real property located at approximately 800 north, 600 west in Pleasant Grove, Utah.
Thank you. I have a motion by Councilmember Jensen. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Anderson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Oh, excuse me. Thank you for, that is, you're correct, it is can I borrow your pen from you? Thank you, Kathy, for keeping us straight here. So we'll have a roll call vote, and we'll start out with Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Bullock.
Yes.
Councilmember Jensen.
Yes.
Councilmember Lamone.
Yes.
Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
Good, thank you. Passes unanimously. We'll take care of that. We won't make the mistake on the next resolution. So anyway, we'll now move to 10E. Consider for adoption resolutions 2021-018, authorizing the mayor to declare 3 2019 Toyota Tacoma pickup trucks and a 1999 Dodge dump truck with plow and a 2008 Chevy Trailblazer and a 1993 Ford F-250 flatbed truck with various other Parks Department groundskeeping equipment as surplus, and direct that they be disposed of according to the city's policy for disposing of surplus property and provide for effective date. We've got 2 presenters on this. Do you want to go first, Marty? Or do you want Dion to do all of it for you?
I did all of his pickleball courts and tennis courts and, no, so the 3 Toyota trucks, they're the 2019 that we purchased a couple years ago. It's just in our rotation plan. That's been working out very well for us to keep new fleet, and it usually costs us a couple $1,000 for a couple years of running those vehicles, and we make back the money that we put on those. So that's getting rid of these vehicles and getting through 3 new vehicles. So we're just surplusing them.
Dion?
We're doing the same thing with ours. We're replacing the dump truck, one of the Fords, the older vehicles. Also, the Trailblazer that's on there is the one that City Hall's been using with Scott Wells. And then we're just getting rid of a whole bunch of old mowers and things that have been sitting around the shop for a long time. So.
Okay, any questions for Dion? So I asked for a motion for resolution number 2021-010.
Mayor, I'll make a motion that we adopt Resolution 2021-010, authorizing you, the mayor, to declare those items as surplus and providing for an effective date.
We have a motion by Councilmember Anderson. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Lamone. This will be a roll call vote again, and we'll start out with Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Bullock.
Yes.
Councilmember Jensen.
Yes.
Councilmember Lamone.
Yes.
And Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
Okay. I'll now move on to 10F. Consider for adoption resolutions 2021-011, authorizing the mayor to sign an amendment grant agreement in the Utah County regarding the Communities That Care Coalition, providing funding for programs to reduce substance abuse in the community and providing for an effective date. Our city administrator.
I told staff earlier today, with Tina and Denise not here, we could do a lot of damage in this meeting, you know. But this is,
Open the bid.
what we have in front of us is, we entered into an agreement with the county last year, so January of 2020, to do what was called the Communities That Care, which is where we hire a person. We hired Tamara Oborn, who works part-time for us and handles this program. I think you're familiar. I think some of you sit on her committee, and has done a fantastic job. It's been great having Tamara working with us. What this agreement does is really just extend what we're already doing. The county picked up the first year cost. They picked up the full cost for the year of 2020. Now we're in year 2021. And this is obligating to us what we had already agreed to when it came to this. And we're actually doing this for 18 months instead of 12 months so that we can get on our fiscal year for budget-wise when we do this instead of on the calendar year. And so really the purpose of this in Section 3B is that beginning January 1st, 2021 through June 30th of 2022, Pleasant Grove City will put $15,000 into the program. Utah County will put in $27,500 for coordinator costs and an extra $4,500 for what's called capacity building. And so they'll be putting in a total of $32,000 over the next 18 months, and PG City will be putting in $15,000, which is consistent with what we agreed to when we initially signed up. But this is the agreement that makes that official and puts us on the fiscal year.
Council have any questions for Scott? If not, I'd ask for a motion on resolution 2021-011.
Mayor, I make a motion for adoption of resolution 2021-11, authorizing the mayor to sign an amended grant agreement with Utah County regarding the Communities That Care Coalition, providing funding for programs to reduce substance abuse in the community and providing for an effective date.
We have a motion by Councilmember Jensen. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Anderson. This will be a roll call vote. We'll go the other direction this time. We'll start out with Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
Councilmember Lamone.
Yes.
Councilmember Jensen.
Yes.
Councilmember Bullock.
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
Thank you. Passes unanimously. Now we've finished all of our action items for this evening, and we'll now move on to our items for discussion, and it will be our different directors' reports of this. Sherry, would you like to come forward and report about the library?
I was so glad I didn't have to follow the chief today, but he's not here. No bomb threats in the library.
So, no shootouts in the library?
No. Actually, I wanted to talk to you about an arts commission thing that's going on. The Stacy and Emma Martineau and the other people in the Arts Commission, but those two have been the ones heading it up, are doing a Balder, B-A-L-D-R, challenge. Balder is a Norse god. And so they've so they've got a little toy Balder, and they're doing something different every month to encourage arts. So this month is photos of trees, since we are the tree city, right? And so they, if you go to our city website and go to community and then arts, there's a write-up about it. It's actually only got about a week left for this one. And then the idea is the winner gets a prize, and the photo will go up in the library, or photos, depending on how many enter. So, and they've got interesting, fun things like that planned for every month that vary into different types of art too. So, if you know any photographers, or amateur, pro, whatever, who think that sounds like a fun challenge, please encourage them. It's on the city website. Thanks.
Okay, thank you. Let's hear from our rec department.
Sorry you winced on the Balder comment, Todd.
Yeah, you're bolder
Some of
than
us
me.
are already there, so. Yeah. Recreation, it's still the change of the season. We are just finishing with men's basketball. A couple more technical fouls have been called this week because it is tournament time. It is serious business. So, yes, that's all for the shirt. So, so that'll be ending this week. And you guys might have seen, we ran a daddy-daughter date night. It's a really awesome event. Amber did a good job with that, and it was a great event for dads to come out and do with their daughters. And there'll be another one for mothers and sons, and she just does a couple of different ones like that. It's good opportunities to come and be with your children. The change of the season's bringing a lot of, scoreboards just got installed yesterday. They got completed at Discovery Park. They're a true Viking blue scoreboard out there, and so they look really good. I'm really excited, and that you'll be able to see if it's a 8 instead of a 0 and not yell at my scorekeepers anymore. And then they are wireless with just a handheld remote now. It's not this big contraption up in the score tower, so they can basically do that from anywhere. So it's really going to be an awesome thing, so we appreciate that. Women's volleyball is going to start this week. Coming up, spring men's basketball is going to start this week. We just have a lot going on with the change of the seasons that we're looking forward to. And yeah, lots of things happening. So,
Any questions for Donna?
Yes.
Okay.
I was out there last night, and it was crowded, right? Ball game's going.
out at Discovery,
Yeah.
yes, teams are very anxious to get going, and Coulter's doing a good job getting those fields ready for the season and getting new dirt in there, and we really appreciate all his work he puts in there. So,
Anybody else?
thank you.
Marty? Before you start, Marty, I've got one question for you.
Yeah.
I've got a change order here for the Discovery Park, and it said $17,656, so this needs to be redone?
No, sorry. So I meant to tell you this, we added the 2 options to the folder for the city council folder. So this one was a preliminary one until we finalized. This one's a midpoint in between the two, 12,000 and 25. We had to finalize that on Monday morning because the one contractor was in Africa. So the 2 that are in the actual file are the 2. The one was for the 11,800 and the other one's for the 25. So that's not the one you sign.
Okay, so I won't sign it then?
No,
We'll
but
get-
it is in
we'll
the
get-
project
okay.
folder, and we're gonna get the signatures from the contractor and the engineer, and then I'll bring it back to you for signature. We didn't know which one you were gonna sign, so we didn't have them sign both, so.
Okay,
Yeah, things are going well. We got a lot of developments anxious to pave. They're ready to get that paving down, and we still haven't got the temperatures quite there yet. We do have, I believe, one of our big main asphalt pits opens up here on the 20th, I've heard, so in a few more days. And so people are starting to get anxious and start to push the envelopes a little bit about trying to get things down and for after the winter, which makes it a little bit challenging because we've got to make sure temperatures are good and not freezing and things of that nature. But so we've got a lot of development going on, a lot of reviews from that side of things that we're still trying to coordinate. I was telling the executive group here in our meeting earlier today that we had 30 active projects. There's actually 34 active projects that we're working on at different levels of I guess where they're at in their process. And we're just very, very, very busy. We got a few more projects. We do have this year, the MAG funding was approved for the 1800 North and First East signal. And so we're currently trying to get with the county and start that design on that. We're hopeful. I'm not sure if we'll make it before school starts, but we're hoping that we can get that signal project done this year.
So that qualified for 2300 North up,
26.
26, excuse me.
So that was actually in the previous funding cycles. So that's
okay.
why it's before, that was the one we got approved on that previous funding cycle.
Oh, okay.
Well, one of the 2600 North projects, phase 1, was approved, but it's actually next year. So that's the other one. So we had a great discussion with MAG yesterday, talking about all our current projects. We have 4 current funded projects. Total amount of those 4 is $5.5 million. $4.4 million is for 2600 North. 2600 North was funded in 2022, so next year, and then 2023. And we're trying to work out to try to get it all done next year. But there's some little bit of tricks we have to play with trading another city, maybe a project that they're not going to be able to get completed next year, that we can trade their funding for our funding and kind of flop years and try to get the whole project done at once. We're going to be working through a few things like that over these next couple of months. And then we also have the pipe down through the 1300 West, not the pipe, the road, 1300 West realignment into North County Boulevard. That one was funded for 2022. So that project will start design this fall as well and start construction in the spring for the realignment of that road down through close to my heart property. So yeah, we also have we're looking at doing 2 of our safe routes to school projects this summer. So we've got the 400 East from 2nd South to 3rd South project that's been approved, and also the one up on Loader Avenue by Valley View was approved, and we're going to try to get those designed here and constructed this summer as well. So we got our plate full, lots going on, lots of development talk and pressures to get things done and turned around quickly for a lot of developers. So we're moving as fast as we can. Any questions?
Questions, council?
I had some questions.
Yeah. Marty's waiting for your answer.
Then I was thinking about something else and it blew my mind. No, I actually do. So 2, I know this isn't a city project. I know it's a county project, but any update on the First East?
Yeah, haven't got an update as far as, other than they are working on the design with PEC. So we've sent everything to them and they're going through that design. We're trying to set up a meeting right now with the county because the signal project and that project are on First East, and we're trying to get those off the ground and moving. But I know that they already have given PEC the go-ahead to get the design done, and we've given them the information that we needed to do that. So
Okay. Do you have an estimated time, or do you have
I
any?
don't. I can respond back to you though.
Okay.
We
we are thinking this summer or this spring.
Yes, no, this spring.
isn't-
I think that's what the commitment was from the county, that we'd try to get it done this spring. So
Okay, all right. And then number 2, I noticed on 1300 West and I guess is that Proctor?
So 1300 West is Proctor.
Is Proctor, yeah. So south of, I guess that'd be south of State Street.
Okay.
The striping has been done, which looks good. The problem is
The old striping hasn't been removed?
the old striping hasn't been removed.
I
And
didn't
it-
notice. No, just kidding.
Yeah. And it looks like it had been maybe painted or I don't know, something, but I drive that every day and I'm a little confused, right?
So-
So we probably ought to do something there.
No, thank you. Yeah, we've been on them. In fact, I was told on Monday that they were gonna get it done this week.
Oh, okay.
But they were supposed to get it done last week, so they keep kicking it down the road. But yes, they're planning to come and sandblast off the old lines.
Okay.
So they're not visible. They were temporary lines because of the power pole.
Right, exactly.
And then they striped it in the right place. Does that look right, by the way? Have
think
you
so.
noticed the new
Looks a
line-
lot better.
Yeah, I think it's,
It'll look good once we get those old ones removed.
yeah, yeah, it's just with the other one, I can tell it's starting to deteriorate faster and faster.
Yeah.
And in a couple of days, it's gonna be really confusing.
Yeah, my
So-
15-year-old son was driving. He's got his learner's permit, and he's like, "Dad, which lines do I follow?" And I'm like, "Okay, this is a problem." So, but I already knew it was a problem. But
Shoot the gap.
we're just working with them to get those removed.
That'd be great. All right, thanks, Marty. That's all I had, Mayor.
Well, we can't keep striping on 1100 North in front of my place, so anyways. We'll get some paint someday, it'll stick to that. So. All right, our fire chief. You can speak for Chief Roberts too, so anyway.
Yeah, he's
but
up,
he-
I'm sure he's up there at that
Yeah,
call
he
right
called,
now,
he
having-
called me earlier and
Did he? Yeah.
gave me a blow-by-blow, but anyway.
sure he's busy
tell
up
us-
there.
You can tell us about what your experience up there, but go ahead, chief.
I don't have much experience. Usually we show up, we just kind of wait around, hopefully nothing bad happens, but we're there just for officer safety and who's ever in there, so we'll see what happens up there. They're still there. They're still haven't made any headway from what I can tell, so. But we'll see. But everything's going great for the fire department. Last week had captain's interviews and we put Paul Eddington as one of our new captains. So we got all of our captain positions filled now. Today and tomorrow, we're testing for lieutenant. We're going through 6 people. We had 3 in-house people and then 3 out-of-house people apply. So we'll have that done tomorrow, and we'll have some interviews at the end of the week or possibly first of the week. So we'll see where that ends up for those positions. So we're getting those spots filled. It's good to kind of slowly get back into the swing of things, get in the right positions. This last week, we've had a couple of fun things happen. I know Councilwoman Malone, I got a text from her. I was out of town last week, and I was in San Francisco, and Kyle texted me and told me the story about they went on an accident on State Street where a pizza delivery person was driving to deliver pizza and hit a deer. And for the most part, I think about totaled the car and the deer. Yeah. So Kyle sent me pictures, said, "Hey, this is what we did." And they had picked it up and they grabbed the pizzas and they delivered the pizza to the homeowner that the pizza guy had in his car, and on top of that, made it on time. So, he still had to pay for it, But I got a text from Sid real quick after that, right after Captain Hardy called me, and she had caught wind of it real fast. And so it was kind of fun to get out there, and that kind of snowball with that. So it's awesome to see the guys get out and kind of think out of the box and do some fun things like that. And so that happened. Then we did have a little fire over in the apartments there right behind Macy's. It was up in the attic, Cambria. I think it displaced 2 or 3 families for a little while. They had started up in the attic. It actually burnt through one of the sprinkler lines, one of the plastic sprinkler lines, which pretty much put it out, but caused a fair amount of water damage from my understanding, from what they told me. So, that fire destroys stuff with water, but they got the water side of the whole thing. So that ended up working out real well. We had American Fork, I think Lone Peak, and Orm help us out on that call, helping getting people situated and taking care of that. So that worked real well for us.
Was that electrical fire then?
I think it was, if I remember right. Like I say, I was gone out of town. I didn't catch exactly, but I think Chief Larson and Gusman were there, and I think it was an electrical short somewhere up in the attic. So whether you want to call it lucky or not, burned through a water line, I don't know, but put the fire out, but they had a lot of water damage. I know Sarah, she's been teaching. We've gone through like almost 40, a little over 42 people. We've taught CPR in the city so far, all the employees. So we're working with some of the department heads, getting them through CPR if they want to do that. And then we're going to start this next month with them going through Stop the Bleed classes. If they want to we're going to sign them up and they want to come over and get those taken care of. And so hopefully, our goal is to get, most everybody that wants to get CPR certified and go through Stop the Bleed classes at least for all the city employees right off the bat. So I think it'll be.
So Chief, is that open for city council members if they want?
You bet. Yeah. Just call and let me know when you want to do it. I'll get hold of Sarah and let you know what day she's doing those. The CPR, if you want to get certified, you have to get online for a couple hours and do a class online, then you come into the station for about an hour and do some practical stuff and go over a few things.
I know Eric would like to do that, so that's why.
Yeah, and let me know. And like I say, as this whole.
I actually would like, I'd like to
Yeah.
do that.
No, it's great.
I think that's great training, and
Yeah.
if we can take advantage of that, then.
And slowly, I think we're working this way to where as hopefully as this pandemic, this mask thing slowly, hopefully goes away, we can get some more public in there, start doing some classes once a month and some things like that. That's our goal. So, other than that, trying to think what else we were doing this last week. That's probably the biggest things right there. I didn't think anything else. Do you guys have any questions or?
Anything, council, any questions? Thank you, Chief.
Thanks.
We appreciate you, and thank you for the masks.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Hey, these are coveted, okay?
Well, yeah, as I say, I'm passing them out, but, I'm crossing my fingers that maybe you won't have to wear them, but if you got them, you can wear them,
Yeah, okay. Daniel? You're always busy, Daniel, and I was in Flagstaff this last Thursday evening and watched your planning commission meeting, and it was great. Our planning commission does a great job.
Yes, my planning commissioners are fantastic. They study hard, they ask good questions, and I think they do a really good job. Let me see, a couple of things. As you guys know, Carol retired, so we don't have a business license person right now, but we've been able to process the business licensing because we did some cross-training. So we're operating normal, but it's good to have a replacement. It's coming soon. We just did interviews today, and I think we're confident we're going to get a great person to be part of the team. We have some maps in our website, and it came to my attention that the last time those maps were updated was 2014. So that's the map for the public. It's not an interactive map. I have the interactive map that I can go and change colors and do things like that. So all those maps are updated. They're up to date as today. So you guys can see now it says right there March 2021. So they're updated. So if anyone wants to check the zoning for any property, they can go in there and they're up to date right now. So it's just in our website. I'll send you a link so it will be easier for you guys just to click on it and get there. So we just finished that last week and we have updated maps for everybody to see that. That's what I have, Mayor.
Any questions? We're doing a great job.
I appreciate it, Mayor. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Daniel. Kathy, do you have anything you don't want to talk about, vote by mail or anything there? Oh, okay. Your feelings on, no. Kyler, hey, you're my hero, Kyler, okay? So if you want to talk about it, you can, but if you don't want to, I understand. But anyway,
Well, I mean, there's many reasons I might be your hero.
well, you
I'm not sure.
You did fix my computer this week.
I think you took
That's
that
what
a
I
little
was
far,
assuming.
Kyler.
No, I'm going to be out of the office for the next maybe 2 weeks. I'm donating a kidney, so that'll be on Thursday, and
Yeah. He
I
wanted to lose some weight. He wanted to lose some weight, and
I
that was
wanted
the
to lose
easiest way.
about 2 pounds, so I thought this would be a great way to get that excess chunk right here.
Is there a story here?
No.
No, I think that I have a reputation for being a mean person, so I needed to do something nice. And so this is my excuse to do something nice. I don't do it very often, so.
So do you know the recipient?
I don't. I'm gonna be an altruistic or a good Samaritan donor.
Wow, good for you, Kyler.
So he's my hero.
I'm with you now.
It was about the computer.
Hey, if I would have took a few more minutes, I could have taken care of it myself. He says, well, you got to do this.
Just don't break your computer for the next 2 weeks, and you'll be fine.
That's okay.
Is this are you doing it locally at a local hospital? Yeah, I'll just do that in
Mayor, I do have a question for Kyler, though.
Yes.
So we changed our email, dual authentication, which is great. But password reset did not automatically go through. So it's still the old one. We had mentioned that we were going to change those. I tried to change it on the, through office.com, and it wouldn't allow me to.
He'll answer
passwords-
that. I had the same problem. Go ahead.
Yeah, the passwords are changed via the computers, and so you have to log into a computer on the network to change it. And so the computer password matches the email password. So if you're not regularly using a computer, then you're not going to be asked to change your password.
Well, we're not typically signed in on the network with,
Correct.
with a city laptop.
So,
Right, 'cause we don't have city laptop.
if we want to change passwords, I have this computer that we can just have you log in
Got it.
and change that password, but you can't. It's
But you
just
could
one-
do it.
it's-
Could you do that for us and send us a new link to change it?
Oh,
Or
I would love control to change your passwords.
no, we're not asking you to change our password. Just send us a link so that we can change our password.
So the,
Or is
one
it-
of the security mechanisms for password changes is that it has to be,
You're gonna have to go visit, you're gonna have to
it
visit.
has to be on a computer that's a network
You have to be
computer.
on a city computer.
And
Got
so
it.
that's just a security mechanism that our IT
Okay.
has
So can we do that here, or do we have to go back to your office?
here.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Scott, we'll have you talk about our next, anything else you need to bring in our next council meeting, which is going to be more exciting than tonight is by a long.
It probably will be here in a couple of weeks. We are, well, let's talk about it in 2 weeks. Our work session, we're going to have at least one employee come in and receive a plaque, a retirement plaque. We had 2 employees in the last couple of weeks that retired that had given more than 20 years of service to the city. A couple of years back, the council had asked that we have them come to city council meeting and to be recognized with a plaque. That was something that I dropped the ball on with these 2 individuals. One of them really wants to be low-key, and so we'll probably just drop the plaque off at their house. But the other one will likely be here in 2 weeks at our work session, in which the council can give them the plaque and tell them thank you. We also will be having a budget discussion next week, which could also leak into our council meeting. I don't know if we'll get that all done in an hour. We have a lot to talk about. But that will be the majority of our work session in 2 weeks, just with an understanding that, whatever we don't finish, we'll just finish when we get into our council meeting, when that time's right. In our council meeting, we have a couple items that are in regards to changing our city code to allow for us to do a decent-sized LED sign for the library. We've been working on this one for a while, but this would allow us to have a little bit of a bigger LED screen and not as much of some of the things that we would require that would, used to have to be 50-50, 50% screen and 50% other material around it. That was very expensive, and so we've tweaked the ordinance in a couple ways in order for us to do something which is going to look nice and be good for the city, but it should help us save a little money. Item C is changing the definition, or I'd say this, further defining the definition of owner-occupied when it comes to accessory apartments and tiny homes. So this has been spurred on by an issue in a particular neighborhood, and we just wanted to make sure that this was clear what we were doing for that, so we will further define that. And then item D, which isn't listed on the agenda just yet, and item E are going to be related. Item D will be amending our vicinity plan for a potential new development in the community, residential development. Item E is a public hearing for the request for currently RR zone to be rezoned to an R110. And so that will be a public hearing. Both items will be public hearings. So there'll be opportunity for the public to speak on that. And then we have one action item that night, and that is just to do a non-exclusive franchise agreement with a company that wants to put in some telecommunications in our right-of-way. As a reminder, we will meet, so in 2 weeks on the 30th of March, not during spring break, which is the first Tuesday, but we will meet again on April 13th. That will also be budget work session, and then that will be our only meeting in April. And then our next, we'll be back on for May, will be first and third Tuesday. So that's all I have.
Any questions for Scott, council? If not, thank you. And we'll move on now to anything that the council will let, and we'll start over here with Sid on this, on the left. Don? Nope. Eric?
We have.
You have your list there.
I have my list. We have 2 ribbon cuttings coming up. In Aviv ribbon cutting, I think you've all received these via email, on March 22nd at 4 p.m. This is over by Crust Club. They're a water company. And then some shady company called More Energy on the 25th at 12:30, and it's kind of outside of Tribe House, kind of in the foyer there, so.
Eric, were those sent from the chamber?
Yes, are we still
Okay.
blocked?
Well, I don't know, I didn't get them, but I don't,
Oh, maybe we didn't include Administrator Darrington.
okay,
on
and
that. I'll
that's
include him.
quite possible. But I do like to attend them.
I'll email
If
him
you'll
tonight.
forward one to me, I'd appreciate it.
And then I did have one question, sorry for Scott, is we've got the emails from you on the fiber discussion.
Yeah.
When is your maybe it was in the email, I didn't see it, projected time to bring it back to us so we can get moving forward?
We're hoping we have the agreement. I don't know if we'll be ready for the 30th, 13th at the latest on the agreement. We're meeting with their financing people to get the bonding stuff started. And then we're also meeting with the technical group to start planning out connecting city facilities. We have a meeting with them on Thursday for city facilities. We were going to meet last week to talk about the financing, but that with Denise being gone, we pushed that meeting to this week. And then Tina's been gone. We've both been reviewing the agreement, but we haven't had a chance to sit down. But I'm hoping, we want to move in haste. We do want to get this thing going as soon as possible. So hopefully the 30th, but 13th at the latest.
I'm good. Anything else? Councilmember Anderson?
Yes, I would love any kind of updates that, that happened on the Hill that would mandate any monies coming from us. So any bills that were passed, I do know that there was a sign ordinance bill. I don't know what happened to it, so I was just wondering that if that would change any conversations in town.
didn't pass.
It didn't? It didn't pass? Okay, good. Anyway, I know that every once in a while there's bills that are passed that actually affect us and mandate funds. So I would just be interested if any of those, and I don't know if the league briefs us on.
The league will brief you down at the meeting. If you come down for Utah League of Cities and Towns, they'll do a legislative recap. To my knowledge, every bill that was detrimental to cities either died or they were able to negotiate a place where it was okay for cities to handle.
Okay.
To my knowledge, I don't think there's anything that's going to cause us to have to.
Any police training?
All
any
the police stuff, I think, was, well, there was quite a few, so I can't speak to them specifically. Just in a general nature, there was a committee formed before the legislature because they knew there was going to be a lot of police reform.
Okay.
So the Utah League had representation, Chiefs of Police Association, also some of the groups that have a vested interest in the policing in the community. And they were able to get a lot of things negotiated so that when the bills were presented in session, most of them were agreed upon bills by everybody at the table. Not all of them, but most of them. If there's additional training, then it's training that will make sure that our people need to have. And the additional cost, I think, will be minimal as far as that's concerned. There's nothing
Okay.
that was super concerning about that.
I just knew that we were going to be talking about money on the 13th, and I was just wanting to make sure that we were going to meet our needs there and mandates.
Scott, so there is, if you go to Utah League of Cities and Towns website, you can sign up for their Friday Fun Facts.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I get that.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I felt like the league did a good job representing cities. There were some really difficult bills with accessory apartments, alternative dwelling units, that took a ton of negotiation. But
Zoning design criteria, and I think that one may have passed. So we may want to look at that. That was sponsored by, I can't remember. But it was a Utah County thing, and I think the Home Builders was behind it. So we may want to check on that one. I think it passed.
Okay, yeah, I'm not familiar with what you're talking about. Let's talk offline, and
Yeah.
we'll follow up on that.
Yeah. And I would just be interested, this is for Daniel as well, just to make sure that that transition zone conversation on Center and Main is still moving forward. Okay. Anyway, that's it.
Okay, Brent?
No, I won't be here on the 22nd or the 25th to the ribbon cutting. I'd come on the 22nd, but I'd probably be impaired, okay?
Surgery.
I'm having surgery.
We wish you well.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hope you pass your COVID test.
I do too. I hope so too.
Can't believe that.
I am concerned about it.
That's going to be so funny if you're negative with no antibodies.
Well, thank you, council. That concludes all of our business this evening, and I just want to appreciate all of you and work you do. And we've got another meeting in 2 weeks, and then we'll have a little bit of a break, and one meeting in April, and we get a meet down in St. George for a little retreat. So we're grateful for all of you. So with that, I would like to ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Have a motion to adjourn by Councilmember Jensen. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilmember Bullock. Excuse me, Councilmember Anderson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Is there any opposed? We're